I'm inviting anyone who would like to speak about any person in any military service whom they knew in any war or any conflict at any time, to talk about those people right here, and then we're going to plant the flag at the conclusion of the comments. So anyone who wants to talk about anybody, because I'm certainly going to talk about my four. Okay. Oh, please, Victor, please.
Yeah,
Thank
I'd just
you.
like to, in memory of two friends, Jerry Munoz and Peter Rodriguez, who served in Vietnam. And when I emailed both of them about my trip and asking them for comments and, you know, any advice, Peter responded back with some comments, but didn't want to talk about it on the phone or meet about it because I offered to have lunch or coffee. And the second one, Jerry Munoz, didn't respond at all. And then I spoke to a mutual friend of ours, and he said Jerry, to this day, still doesn't talk about the war, doesn't even talk to his wife about it, wakes up at night. So,
wow.
In memory of both of my friends.
Bill, would you like to, Bill? Okay, let me get closer. I mentioned Bob Wiedemann to you. He was killed that night by the mortar shell. He was 19 years old. He was born in Gary, Indiana, and was approximately the same age as Mike McBride. When I see Mike from time to time, it reminds me of life's separated fortunes. That some people go one direction and others go another, and it seems by chance or by divine will, or who knows. I mean, each person has to come to this conclusion yourself. Bob was kind of a good-natured, jokester, kind of broad guy, and I think of him frequently. The other fellow who was killed here, Ross Applegate, was from New Jersey. He was the nicest guy in the unit. He was famous for doing good deeds, and he was the one who corresponded with the junior high school in Florida, where they wanted to talk to people who were soldiers, and he wrote to them more than any other person, and he was a really, really, really wonderful guy. He wore his "I am an Episcopalian" red sweatshirt, and he wore it that night. And I think of him often, and his appearance is distinctive in my mind. My other two men who perished at the Coup of Viet, where we'll be later, were Richie Frasca from Long Island. He was the comedian of the counterintelligence agents. He called himself Richie from the rear. He would joke all the time, and he was my subordinate in Khe and a friend. And when we landed in Da Nang, someone had to stay with the classified equipment containers at the harbor, and he and another fellow took turns. And because there was a slight mix-up, there was a shift, and I made the decision to switch the days of the guys as the most efficient, some trivial administrative decision. And therefore, the one guy went up with the land convoy, and the other guy went up by sea. Richie went up by sea, and when they reached the Coup of Viet north of here where we're going, they were attacked by artillery from North Vietnam, and he was killed. With him was Roy Robinson. His mother was a professor. We called him Robbie. He was also 19. Richie was 25, perhaps 26. He was older. And married. Robbie was the motor pool guy. He took care of the dogs, Grease Spot and Motor Poodle. It was also called the Grease Spot, and Motor Poodle. Motor Poodle actually was once called Straight Leg, because paratroopers mock guys who aren't paratroopers, and this dog and the rest of us were not paratroopers. Robbie taught me how to drive. As an agent, I was entitled to drive even though I was an officer, and they didn't want officers to drive. And we rode 9K up and down the hills, and they put petroleum cross the roads in the rain, and I took that kid 45 miles an hour down a hill, and I thought he was going to perish. So he risked his life. His mom desperately wanted him to go to college. He was resisting, but he amazed her and delighted us by extending his service until August, and then he would go home and go to college. So he got a month off. He went home. He was in a car accident. He got braces and other appliances in his mouth, and when he came home, he joined the unit in Da Nang, went up by sea, and was at the Cua Viet, headed here. Evans was their destination, and he perished as well from artillery fire. I remember them with great affection. I remember their appearances vividly, and they can be seen, their names can be seen on panels 40 and 46 east of the Vietnam Memorial. And when I worked at State, I went every week, sometimes many days, whenever company came, whenever I was moved. I was only a block and a half away from the monument. And I would go and see them, see their names. And when I first came to Washington, I may have told you when it was done, though I'm a political scientist and in favor of government activism, and I knew it was done by private organizations, in the root of my mind I said, this was done by the government and they're going to spell their names wrong. And I couldn't go. I couldn't make myself go to the wall the first time. I couldn't bear the thought that their names had been misspelled, and it would be somehow a dishonor. But the second time I went to Washington, I went, and the names were spelled correctly. And when you look at Frasca and Robbie's name, they're close together. But Wiedemann's name and Applegate's name is farther apart because Applegate lived that extra day. And I still don't understand how they couldn't save him, but intellectually I understand it. But in my heart, I miss him very much and missed a chance to talk to him. And Nils Nelson, who took the call from me, and I are still in correspondence, and we recall it. Bill, would you want to, are there any men you served with who you'd like to recall at this time? Who passed away? No? Okay. Anna Lilia is going to talk for a second and tell us the source of the flag, and then I'm going to plant the flag, and we're going to have a salute and a moment of singing. So Anna Lilia, if you...
Fred, I
yes.
think we should make this in honor of all the men who have served and who have come home, and in memory of all those who haven't.
And that would be my intention. Tell us about who provided the flag for us.
Ana Gutierrez, my colleague, provided the flag for us. This is actually the flag from her citizenship ceremony. So she was very intent on making sure that we would have a flag to come today. And this was very significant for her. So she wanted Fred to be able to have it and to use it to honor his men.
And in keeping with the spirit of Bob Schball's suggestion, and with our own view of those who've fallen on behalf of our country, to give us the opportunity for freedom beyond the machinations of politics and the limitations of frail political figures and strategists, but who sacrificed everything for us so we could have our freedoms and opportunities, who will live in our memories and in our hearts forever, even those as we do not know their names, but their deeds and what they committed to all of us with their contract of unlimited liability to protect the United States of America. I'm going to plant this flag in honor of all those men and women, of all the services, and the Red Cross and donut dolly workers, and people who served that way as well, whose lives were taken in combat. And I'd like to sing the national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave. And I salute you all.